What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake NBA DFS Early Look. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I, of course, am from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed below or directly at WiseTake.com if you're looking to take your DFS game to the next level. We're a premium DFS content provider as well as a DFS community design to help make you a better DFS player. Go check us out. We got day passes. We have projection sheets, core plays, and our flagship show, which is our pre-lock show called the Wise Stream. Pre-lock Wise Stream. We go live 45 minutes prior to lock, take you up into lock, myself and Paulie D. Keep you guys updated as much as we can with the news. Speaking of news, not much you can do about the news we got on yesterday's slate, right? It was the only game on an island at 9 o'clock. We find out like 5 minutes or so before that game locks, and even if you had that 5 minutes to be able to late swap, there was nobody to late swap to. It's the last game. We'll see how FanDuel and DraftKings handle it. I understand that they're a business and they gotta make money, but at the same time, when something like that happens, and as big as these companies are and who they're backed by and everything like that, you would think they would give everybody refunds who were affected, but we'll see. We'll see what they do. That being said, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe, hit the notifications bell so you're notified whenever we do go live. If you're listening on Podbean or iTunes, help us out. Spread the nation, share the show. We do this Monday through Friday, completely free. And hit the like button. Likes really go a long way. Likes help us out, allow us to continue to do what we do on YouTube and the other platforms that we're on. So hook us up. We appreciate it. That being said, we've got a slate to discuss. 6 games, much more manageable than these larger slates that we've had recently. Though I will say I've had a lot of success with these larger slates. First up, we got Toronto and Orlando. As always, we've got FanDuel and DraftKings both pulled up on the screen. We got some injuries for both teams here, right? Go to utility. Get them all. So we know OG Anunoby is out. Powell is questionable, but I think he was leaning more towards... Okay, he was doubtful. He's upgraded to questionable. So we'll check the status on Powell. Orlando's still without Michael Carter-Williams. Obviously, they've been missing Fultz and a bunch of people. Aaron Gordon is the new one to their slew of injuries. It affects pretty big. The first thing I can tell you on DraftKings is Vucevic at 8-2 with no Aaron Gordon is way too cheap. So 8,200 against a team that's not good against centers anyway. Vucevic looks really good. 8-8 on FanDuel looks fine too. That's a site where we have to get comfortable paying more than DraftKings. Kyle Lowry is fairly cheap on both sites. He was 6-6 on FanDuel the other day. That was crazy. Now he's 7-5. Makes a little bit more sense. Siakam is still within reach on FanDuel and is fairly priced on DraftKings for the usage that we've seen with these guys out. Now, Powell being in or out is kind of a big deal. If Powell is in, then we expect him to resume his usage duties, if you will. He's 6,400 on both sides. I think he would be in play, especially on a smaller slate. If he's out, though, Lowry, Van Fleet, Siakam, these same guys, they just continue to get their boosts. Evan Fournier is 6,300. He's been playing well, and without Aaron Gordon, we'd expect him to do more. Same thing for Terrence Ross. Now, Ross is a little bit cheaper. However, he is more scoring dependent, which adds to the volatility. 4,700 for Terrence Ross in a revenge spot against Toronto, mind you. I think is a pretty decent value. So there's definitely some stuff in this game. Expect the ownership to be high, though. Especially after everybody got burned with the late game. Expect the ownership to be high. Because number one, we have injuries, so it makes sense. Number two, the Raptors are always a team people like to play. And then, of course, number three is the first game. So I do expect inflated ownership. But there's some really solid plays I didn't even cover here, right? Boucher in tournaments is fine. Kem Birch has been playing well. Terrence Davis for value. So there's a ton we can get into. But the main piece is Vooch for sure on Orlando. I think we can consider Fournier and Ross. And then, of course, the main three, assuming Powell is out. If Powell is in, not as much. And I think Powell becomes in play, right? Clippers, Nets. Looks like everybody's supposed to play for as far as the big three go for Brooklyn. Patrick Beverley's still out. Nick Batum is questionable. He missed the last game. We'll have to check the status on that. Let me just load it up on FanDuel here. So with everybody's healthy, it's hard to really pick which one, and it's hard to want too many of them too much, right? I like Durant most nights. I just think that he's kind of stepping up, taking charge after missing a season, basically. But Harden's been the most impressive. And the price on Harden on FanDuel at 10.5 is still fairly low. 10.9 on DraftKings, still fairly low. He's the one getting assists. He's the one that's showing the triple-double potential. But his usage rate has not been crazy high like we're used to with Harden. He's just getting it done efficiency-wise. So with everybody healthy, it gives me pause for concern. But, I mean, you would think this is a pretty marquee game, right? All of Brooklyn's games have been the nuts. And whether it's Brooklyn or their opponents, all of their games have been the nuts. Looking at the Clippers side, Paul George at 8,400 on FanDuel seems too cheap. 8,900 on DraftKings, a little bit more appropriate. Still down. I'll still do it. Reggie Jackson at 5-1. The usage we don't expect to be as high, right, as when PG and Kawhi were all out. But 5-5 and 5-1, I think he's at least in the conversation. DeAndre Jordan against the Clippers, 4,900 is in play. 5-1 on FanDuel. The rest of Brooklyn, it's really hard. Like Jeff Green and Joe Harris, we look to take advantage when somebody's out. But assuming everybody's in, which as of right now looks like that's the case, it's hard to go anywhere other than the big three. And then, of course, it comes down to picking which one you want. The Clippers side a little bit easier, though, because Brooklyn has been involved in these crazy high-scoring games. I like PG on FanDuel. I like him on DraftKings, but I also like Kawhi Leonard. He's so close to Kawhi Leonard at that point. So there's a discrepancy, right? On DraftKings, I feel like I might as well get to Kawhi at 9.2. On FanDuel, I'm saving a pretty good amount of money to go to Paul George at 8.4. Serge Ibaka obviously in play. So this should be an interesting one. Should be a good game. Real basketball anyway. Memphis and Indiana. See what we got going on here. We've got Karis LeVert, it's a shame. So Valanciunas still out. It's back-to-back from Memphis. They're playing the Spurs the night before. The typical, nothing new. The same guys that have been out. This one's an interesting one, right? I mean, I would think with Joe Val out, you got Gorgie Dieng, you've got Xavier Tillman. Sabonis should eat. Sabonis is 8,700 on DraftKings. That feels too cheap. 9-1 on FanDuel is about where he's been. Brogdon at 8,400 on FanDuel. I'm interested in 79 on DraftKings. This is a great spot for point guards. I love John Morant just as much as anybody, but he's not good defensively. He's just not. At least not yet. So Sabonis and Brogdon off the top of the head, it just look like they're in phenomenal spots. And I think Turner even is in the conversation, right? Like I shouldn't completely downplay him. He's a little more volatile, has a little bit of a lower floor than Mr. Brogdon. But he's got some upside. FanDuel, Block City, you can get down on that. The Memphis side I'm a little worried about. I just don't see anything that stands out to me a ton. Right? You know they're going to need the bigs on the court. Whether it's Dieng or Tillman, you know they're going to need the bigs. But you're also worried about foul trouble in the matchup itself. Right? Like Indiana is a big team. But Sabonis and Turner down low. Maybe we could look towards some value players like the Anthony Melton, who's been playing really well coming off the bench. And if this game gets ugly, if you think that the Pacers beat him up, which is certainly a possibility considering the Pacers are a significantly better team, and Memphis is on a back-to-back. I know it's at least a 3 and 4 also. Then maybe we consider him. Someone who I think would get a little bit more time in the blowout. Him being Anthony Melton. 4,800 on FanDuel. He's not that cheap because he's been good. That's the bottom line. 32 minutes against San Antonio, obviously went out there and bowled, but that game was a blowout, so we got more run. So we're looking for the same, I guess, in this scenario. But Sabonis and Brogdon, I like a lot. On DraftKings, Sabonis' prices come down to 8,700. Might be time to buy low, because for him that's low. Portland, Washington. It's a back-to-back for Portland as well. Usual suspects out here. Washington's still without Thomas Bryant, but they are slowly getting guys back. Russell Westbrook balled out in his last game. Just went nuts. That was good to see. How many minutes did Mr. Westbrook play? 34 minutes. That was good to see. All right, went for 71 against Brooklyn. And that's what I mean about guys going off against Brooklyn. That's why you have to. The Clippers are going to team we're going to want a piece of, I would think. But Washington is also a great team to target against. I do like Dame. It's a back-to-back. Makes me a little bit weary. They're on the road. I do like Dame. This is a really good spot for Cantor if he doesn't fuck it up, right? Should be a really good spot for Cantor if he does not fuck it up. Carmelo Anthony's cheap, but he's kind of earned that price tag. He's not been good, and even with them missing players, they're still not forcing him in the game, right? Even with no Derrick Jones Jr., they're still not forcing him in the game. Once Covington came back, that was it. And I get it. Rui Hatch, interesting at 4,700, but we'll have to check. 28 minutes against Brooklyn is solid. What about Mo Wags? He's got upside. Upside 32 against Brooklyn. 20 minutes. Yes, he does. But of course, 20 minutes is the problem. Even with them missing players. Alex Len. How much has Alex Len been playing? Let's take a look at you, my friend. 4 minutes against Brooklyn. Not gonna cut it. Davis Bertans 4,300. I know he's been bad. How much is he on DraftKings? 4,700. Okay, not as good. I know he's been bad. But it looks like he played, 30 minutes? 4 for 13. He was 3 for 12 from 3. On DraftKings, he has massive upside. On FanDuel, you don't get the extra points for the threes, but obviously you'll still get the fantasy score and he's cheap. I think Bertans is someone that on a small slate we're interested in, right? Bradley Beal, I guess, is one of the obvious plays we could have talked about, right? I'm good with going back to Beal. No McCollum either. I'm good with going back to Beal. He's expensive on both sides. DraftKings is under 10. That's good enough for me. But this looks also like a pretty good game. Washington has not been... They did beat Brooklyn. But they have not been a team that people look at as good, right? So it's hard to envision them blowing somebody out. But this is a tough stretch for Portland. Another good game. Boston, Golden State. We're into the 10 o'clocks. Steph Curry, I can get behind. This is a good defensive team, but the way you beat this team is by shooting, and that is obviously what Steph Curry does. So I think his ownership could be low. I could be interested. Tatum's price is low on DraftKings, right? Steph is kind of cheap on both sides. Tatum, man, I mean the upside's back. That's the 8,600 seems a little bit too cheap in a good matchup. Now he's gonna see some Draymond. Not trying to discount him. But it looks like a good spot for Tatum. Jaylen Brown, 7.8. He's coming back down to earth over there. 8.7 on FanDuel's tough, but you'll get him at lower ownership if that's what you're looking for. Theoretically, this would be a Wiggins spot as far as his position goes. But is there ever really a Wiggins spot? Do you just play him and close your eyes? Draymond Green's questionable, huh? Oh, he's probable. Okay. I don't mind Draymond. Foul trouble could be a thing, though. Foul trouble could definitely be a thing. That's right. We did find out also Wiseman is out. Wiseman is out. Forgot about that. So is Kevon Looney going to get minutes? What are they going to do here? They don't have a ton of options right now. Or they're just going to go small, and we're going to see a lot of Draymond at the 5. Also a possibility. Looney got 22 minutes? No way. Tell me Kevon Looney got 22 minutes. 22 minutes he did. And Wiseman, 17 against Detroit, 22 against Detroit. I would think they're going to play Looney at least 22, right? That's enough for us to play him. 3,400 on DraftKings. Now, again, they can go small, right? Tice and Thompson aren't like super huge dudes. They can go smaller. They don't have a problem playing Draymond at the 5. They've done it for years. But either way, that at least makes Draymond a good play with him being probable. Do we see Paschal get more playing time? Do they slide down? Do we see Paschal get more playing time if Draymond slides down? This is an interesting one. And the injury, the Golden State injury to Wiseman, could make Golden State more desirable, at least the bigs. At least the bigs. Last game, Detroit, Utah. We'll see if this game takes place. Detroit's game against Denver was canceled, and we don't know why. So we'll have to see. Starting off with the Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, right? It's a good spot for both. Centers have done well against Detroit. Everybody's done well against Detroit. Let's be real. This was supposed to be a back-to-back for Detroit. So if they do play, I do think that they're getting somewhat of a break in that regard. Mike Conley's and Clarkson and all these guys, I was enjoying playing them when Mitchell was out, but with Mitchell back, I just don't think there's a ton there. I think this game will carry real low ownership, but it's not great, right? Ingles not as good of a play. Derrick Rose only 4,500. I feel like any given day they're gonna just play him big minutes and he's gonna smash. Just something to keep an eye on. But nothing great in this one. I don't see anything that I'm, even on a 6-game slate, we've gone over a lot of pretty good plays that I just don't see a ton here. Again, even on FanDuel, Rudy Gobert is overpriced. Like, these guys are priced for Mitchell being out and he's back in. It's just not great. But all in all, pretty good slate. Excited to play it. Again, we'll see what DraftKings and FanDuel decide to do. A lot of people got burnt, including myself. I got burnt pretty bad. I had a lot of Barton. A lot of that game in general, so we'll have to see. Hopefully they do the right thing, but, we can only worry about what we can control. That being said, hit the like button on your way out. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me here. Don't forget to check us out at WiseTake.com for more. We'll be writing a core plays article, our projections. I take care of the projections, and I'll be updating them throughout the day as well. Cheat sheets, Paulie D's fast break sheet, which shout out to Paulie D, who was all over Malik Monk, which was really nice leverage off the Melo ball, all over the Malik Monk, who went nuts at fucking damn near minimum price. So shout out to him. That being said, for myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.
Yeah.